There's always a deadline to a project, and if you're not making it, then you're losing money.
Well, you've been crushing it at our shop, and let alone even at my house too. I got you.
Yeah.
I got to get my house now working.
Yeah.
To see a company operate that way and it actually stay within its guidelines, and then also take care of anything along the way too at the same time.
You've set the expectations well. You're not over promising and under delivering. You know what the time frame is going to be, and like setting those expectations.
And being transparent from the get, like with the customers, like you get so much more respect when you just tell the truth from the beginning and just be transparent with them
from the beginning.
So it's like extremely important to be transparent up front. And I think that's where we're kind of gaining that respect in this industry, especially with our customers, is we're transparent from the get.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with Miller Brothers. Excited to be here with my big brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today we have a very special episode. We have Joe and Chris with IKAG Construction, currently doing the rebuild at our shop, the academy, and the podcast studio. We had an awesome conversation. Check it out.
Well, thanks for coming to sit down with us.
Yeah, man.
I know you're probably wondering to begin with why I'd asked you to come on.
Yeah.
But for me, like, it was pretty easy for me to want to have you on, because I wanted to pick your brain, because when it comes to operating your business, you operate in a way that I see very similarities in the fact of, like, when we called, you answered, and then you got back to us, and then you actually showed up when you said you were going to. And contractors we've dealt with in the past with other remodels we've done. Now, we have other contractors that we do business with that it's just one of those things that they don't do the type of construction like what we are having done or what you're doing for us. So I've never crossed that line with them. But every other construction company or contractor I tried working with, or we tried getting work done in our shop, and I think the last time was 2019. The graphics bay where my printers and everything, we expanded into that space, and the guy finished about 95%. And then we didn't have flooring in, and then I forget something else where he told my dad, he's like, I need more money. My dad made the mistake. We paid him everything up front and didn't see the writing on the wall when the guy kept asking for a check after check after check. Yeah. And then when it got to almost completing the job, like, oh, well, I need more money, otherwise we can't get the job done. It's like, no, I'm not sure. But like it's so I feel like, unfortunately, that is the bar is set at that spot for unfortunately the interactions we've had with contractors. And as soon as the first interaction I've had with you, it was instantly just go. Yes, yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
Like how you were responding, I was like, I don't need to worry about anything else. Like how he's already just responding and handling this job, to me, is he already put you guys well above everybody else.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, I think a lot of people have the same experiences in this industry, which is why I started this business, is because I wanted to differentiate that, right? To be able to establish something to where people can actually respect us for our ethics, and being on time is one of the most important things, right? So like, we both come from a construction background where that's been the total opposite. So, building homes in the past and doing a lot of construction, we've worked for other people where we didn't get to say or do the things that we thought were the right thing. So we had to kind of follow suit in that way, and it kind of created this trend that we both noticed throughout the years of our construction experience. And I just remember just one day just being like, man, this is so wrong. And not just boiling down to being on time, but there's a lot of things that get involved with it. And the construction industry in itself is just such a cutthroat industry when it comes to ethics and doing the right thing. Integrity is the biggest thing, right? Like making sure that the consumers are getting what they're purchasing, number one, at a good value, and number two, making sure that we're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And I started to see this turn the last like 5 or 10 years, where it started to really go down in quality and in ethics and things like that. So it's right about that time where I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do this the right way and start this myself. And that's where it all started.
So how long? When did you start then?
We've been established now for about 2 years officially, but I kind of did it on the side for about a couple years as well. It started out as a side gig. I didn't think it was going to turn into anything big, but I was like, hey, I'm going to try it.
Is that the reason behind the name? I know a guy.
Yeah. So it's funny. I've always been like the guy that everybody calls. Like, hey, do you know a guy for this, or do you know a guy for that? And I actually didn't come up with the name. My brother-in-law did, which he's going to hoot when he hears this. Because my sister's declaring that she was the one that came up with the name, but it was actually my brother-in-law. So anyways, I was on the phone. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start my own business. I'm just going to do it on the side, see if I can make some side cash and see where it goes. And my family's always been on my side with doing it because they knew that since I was a kid, my drive was to always be an entrepreneur. It's what I've always wanted to do. And I remember just calling my sister. I was in the truck, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this. I didn't know anything about business, man, like nothing. And I got on Google like everyone else did when you start a business, like how do you do it, right? And the first thing you do is get an LLC and get into it. And what the hell is an LLC? So I started Googling that and signed up, called her. I was like, hey, I did it. And she's like, okay, well, what are you going to call it? And I'm like, I don't know. And I started coming up with like JB, my initials, and this, and that. And I could just hear my brother-in-law in the background, I know a guy. And I'm like, what? And he goes, you know a guy. And I'm like, I do. For what? And he's like, you know a guy. That's you. You always know a guy. And we're just like, we paused for like 10 seconds, and I just think to myself, that's it. We all just started screaming, and it was just a hoot and holler, and that was it. It was the name.
No, love the name. Absolutely love the name when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
And then seeing your first, because have you had multiple iterations of your logo? Because I saw it in your business card. Yeah. You have the photo. You got the guy with the stash, the tats.
Yeah, that's how it started. It started as a one-man team. I was doing everything myself. Yeah. And then I started to quickly realize that I was getting to a point to where, hey, this can actually turn into something. So I started to sub things out little by little. And by subbing out, I mean, I was just calling people that I knew that could get the job done. And I'm like, hey, I'll pay you this much to get the job done. I put a profit margin on it, and I started making money. And I was like, this can turn into something. And I'm like thinking, well, all my past experience, that's kind of what a general contractor does. Why aren't I doing what these general contractors are doing when I'm perfectly capable of having the resources?
Yep.
So fast forward a year later, I was like, I need to make this sound more professional. I know a guy doesn't really sound like a construction company that a developer's going to, pick up the phone and be like, let's call I know a guy, right? It's more so like big companies have like established names that sound more construction-like. So like, okay, let's just abbreviate it and make it sound legit. And that's what I did. So now it's IKAG Construction.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
No, that's a good breakdown. The fact that you can still spell it out,
Yeah.
but professional-wise, IKAG, that sounds.
Yeah, it sounds different.
Yes, it does.
Sounds a little legit, right?
I'm loving your guys' shirts too.
Yeah, man. We get a lot of questions about it. It's really just a Dixon shirt, and I have my embroiderer do it. We're not sponsored by Dixon by any means, but if they want to sponsor me, let's do it. Yeah.
Oh.
Where did your guidelines from, like, when it comes to, like, getting a job done? You said doing the ethics of doing a job correctly.
I don't know. I think we just learned it right throughout the trades of all the years of just being in the trades. Like you start to see these trends of like where you can cut corners, right? Mm-hmm. And where you can cut corners efficiently to make money and make a profit. And I would always like try to pick people's brains when it came to that. Like even for instance, when we worked together with a home builder out here, I'd watch these guys boss us around, even though we were the boss on the project, but there's always a boss over a boss, right? So our big boss would tell us, hey, we got so-and-so days or such days. We got to get this project done. But you got to do this, right? But you got to do this to cut this corner to make this deadline. There's always a deadline to a project. And if you're not making it, then you're losing money, right? Yeah. So what can we do to make the most amount of money and still close the project out? So seeing those things happen really taught me how to not cut corners, but be efficient from the beginning, right? And have a structured schedule to where we're not running into those issues. And I've come up with a pretty unique process to do that. I'm not going to tell you my secret, but there is a way to do it. And it's became really efficient for us. And we've understood the process now in our own way. And we've just taken it and we're going gung-ho now every day. And it's done really well for us.
Oh, no, you did. You've been crushing it at our shop, and let alone even at my house, too. I got to get my house now working.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, as soon as you started the project, wife was going to say, "What about the baseboards and the rest of the house?"
You called that.
Oh, and thankfully, I think I got her talked down. She's like, "Well, I got to do the common areas first because I don't know if I can handle this construction in every aspect of the house." I'm like, "That's probably right.
Yeah,
you're 100% right. So let's hold off on that."
We know how our women are going to be, especially our wives. We're just like, yeah. You called it right away. You're like, she's going to want the baseboards.
Oh, as soon as you said you were ripping off the bottom, I was like, here it comes.
Yeah.
Here it absolutely comes. I was thinking, like, how are we going to end it on like those two particular corners too? That's where I knew I was going to hit that problem. Which your guy that was doing the baseboards he's like, like Joe told me we're probably going to be doing all this. You care if I just rip this one off? And
Yeah.
the place I'm like, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you guys are going to be back out here again. But no, you guys, the efficiency, you can see it comes through.
Yeah.
From when you guys have come in, we've walked the job, project gets started, each one of your crews coming in, knocking out each one of their trades, and then moving on to the next. You can definitely see the efficiency shines through without a doubt.
Thank you, man.
Oh, and like I said, it's a fresh breath of air to see a company operate that way and it actually stay within its guidelines, and then also take care of anything along the way too at the same time.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, from what I've noticed, I haven't worked with you as much directly, but watching it all happen, I feel like you've set the expectations well.
Yes.
Like you're not over promising and under delivering. You know what the time frame is going to be, and like setting those expectations. How important do you feel that is? Like
extremely important, and being transparent from the get, like with the customer, is like you get so much more respect when you just tell the truth from the beginning and just be
down to
transparent
earth
with them
from the beginning.
Yeah, if you're like, hey, look, I'm going to tell you this is 3 weeks, but we're probably going to add a couple weeks of fluff on this just in case, because there's always, everything's subject to change in construction. There's always issues. I don't care what anybody says or how good you are, you're always come up with an issue. And it's like your project alone, like there was an issue you didn't know about, but we knew about it, but it pushed aside out a couple of days. Did it affect you? No, but we kind of communicated in a way to where you can understand, like, hey, we're delayed this much, you know? So it's like extremely important to be transparent up front. And I think that's where we're kind of gaining that respect in this industry, especially with our customers, is we're transparent from the get.
Oh, it's huge, man. Because I know that I see it for us. Like if we don't set proper expectations on something, and then worst case scenario, if something happens, and now all of a sudden having to make that phone call or talk to somebody when you haven't laid that out ahead of time is a lot rougher conversation to have than making sure that it's clear up front.
Sure.
The conversation goes a little bit different if you're not setting the tone and from the beginning, like, hey, these are things that could happen. Yep. We like to walk away from the job site thinking about what it's going to look like in the future when we're gone. We've been the face of, other companies and having to answer tough questions. And like he said, when he wanted to do it on his own, I wanted to join in on that and, kind of have the same idea. We kind of jive in that same sense as to how we want to represent ourselves.
Yep. Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, I would say, you said like, so like late, because you're saying that even the building industry, how construction has changed. Like, so like 2010 is when I was able to purchase my first home. It was a Pulte house, and it's either I was young and stupid, which definitely was probably part of it, but I don't feel like there was much wrong. There wasn't really much I could point out in the house. Like there were like the small little touch-up things here and there. Fast forward, 2018, I bought the house I'm in now. It's Toll Brothers, and like I ventured over to Toll Brothers because of the reputation they had. And structurally, loved everything structurally about my house, but the finishing work, shit.
You know what that boils down to? Is the biggest problem we have in this industry, and it probably goes for your trade too, is we don't have anybody that wants to work anymore. Nobody wants to put their hands on tools and learn a trade.
They don't understand the value of it.
Right.
That's the biggest
it's
thing.
becoming a really big problem for us. And we're seeing it a lot more
I can only
in the
imagine.
last couple of years, and it's extremely difficult to find good labor. And a lot of people know this, but in the construction industry, but it's just getting worse. It's just getting worse and worse.
Oh, no, so that's where I felt like, all right, was I just a dumbass in 2010?
No.
Oh, and then I thought about it, I'm like, hold on, no, 2010, they were giving houses away almost. And then whoever was being retained to build, that was definitely
Grateful to have a job.
Well, you had the top tier guys. They were working on everything. 2018, can't build houses fast enough. And it's like, can you hold a hammer? All right, you got a job. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then they're just throwing things up. Like, well, you guys were probably pulling up my baseboard. Make baseboard my house first. And then they tiled it.
Yeah.
So I have like a nice gap around all my walls because they put the boards in first, and then finding out pretty much it was like we had to schedule it that way because that's how the trades were getting done. And if you wanted to get done, we had to schedule it.
That comes down to what you were saying. The big boss gives you a timeline. It has to get done in this timeline. Well, what can I move around? Well, I guess tiles going in after baseboard, and we're just going to have to make it work. And
they cut
that's
a corner.
exactly what it was.
Oh, seeing it pisses me off even more too how shitty the tile work is in my house because like seeing the new baseboards going down and I can see the gaps in my tiles from like underneath the same piece of baseboard, like one tile over, like, yeah, that's a 1/4 inch gap.
Yeah.
And raised and down. And like they fought me on that too. And they were like, well, we'll bring someone in that will be able to measure to see what's within standards. I'm like,
Right.
I'm walking through the house. I can tell you it's not within standards. Like, you know how many houses I've walked through barefoot while tinning? Never come across tile like this. Like, I don't care if I didn't upgrade my tile or not. Your guy still laid it like shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's horrible. And they got me to a point where I was just like, screw it. I just don't want you in my house no more. I'm fine. I'm going to replace this stuff eventually. I'll just deal with it. You win. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fine line. It's builders become more defensive with things. That's how the industry standards and things. It's a roller coaster ride. I mean, I started, with a home builder out here in '99, and then I got to see the housing market go big and then crash. And then once it crashed, I seen a lot of labor force. They moved to other states. They didn't want to stay here anymore. The jobs were hard. Whoever was here when they were building, I mean, they were set to such a high standard and, trying to lure buyers into buying homes. Everything had to be pristine, perfect. Industry standards were gone. We need to make sure that the homeowner's happy when they purchase this house and they walk in.
Yeah.
So
that's out the window now.
And then that went on for a while to lure them and keep them coming in to buy. And then once it started picking back up, it's like, hey, all those people that moved out of state need to come back, but they weren't. So we were left with whatever kind of crews that were good. Everyone was fighting for them.
Oh yeah, no, it took one of like the first things. So back with my open sliders in the back part of my house, well, I have a screen that was built in that came with the house. When we first closed, we went to shut it, and there was a gap at the metal, so it bowed up. So I was like, I don't know what you guys need to do to fix this, but like that's not in the track in the middle, and like this screen wasn't cheap, and like if a simple gust of wind blows in, it's gonna blow out of track.
Yeah.
First, they told me they were gonna have to. It's gonna take like 2 or 3 weeks. They're gonna have to rip everything out, redo all this stuff, and like I got 2 or 3 different guys, and then finally they sent. I'm assuming the guy who was like the fixer. He came in and he was like, "Oh, I got this." Popped the top board off, put a couple wedges in just to push down that middle spot, solve the problem.
Yeah.
Put the baseboard back up, put everything together. And I was like, that could have been solved 4 weeks ago if they would have just sent you. Because everyone else was telling me it can't be done. And I told them, I was like, I don't care what you guys have to do. Like, make the screen bigger for all I care. But like, that's not sitting in that channel properly. Like, I don't know what. And as soon as I brought that one dude in, he knew exactly what he was doing. I was like, and you're the A crew. And I understand, like, you're coming in to fix everyone's shit after like trying to get it past 2 or 3 times. I mean, walking in the house to begin with, they tore the carpet. Where in the master bedroom, they tore it where they took a bow out of the wall, tried stretching it back in place. I pointed it out. They send a guy, and the guy comes in with these big shears. He pokes it, snips it a couple times. Sign here.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Sign here that I came and did some work.
No. And he's like, all right, I'll talk to boss. And then also the guy comes, all right, so they're gonna come replace the carpet. I'm like, why wasn't that just the first goddamn option?
Yeah.
Like, you knew it needed to be done, but you're just willing to see if I'll sign off. And like, if 80% of the people are just willing to sign off, you just got to deal with the 20% of the people that are going to be like, yeah, no, I just paid for this house and you're going to fix this. I mean, our editor, he just purchased a home, and the nightmare he's been dealing with I won't say the company. Pulte. Okay.
We haven't worked for Pulte, so full disclosure, we're good there.
Well, that was the other thing too. Like, that's the reason why I leaned towards the Toll Builder house, because I had the Pulte house to begin with. They weren't building in that part of town at the time, so I went to Toll for like I went after that name recognition. Yeah. And like I said, the first beginning part of it was great, and then as soon as I got to the trade work, straight out the window. Yeah. So it's very refreshing to finally come across the company that it's like now I can say I know a guy.
There you go.
With all intentions.
Oh, way to bring that back. That was good. I like that.
Attaboy.
Oh no, and it's like it's finally just get to a point where it's like, to me, it's like I asked like, well, did you get a couple more quotes? I'm like, no, I didn't get any more quotes. I didn't want to get any more quotes. He answered his phone, gave me a quote. In my eyes, it seems absolutely reasonable. It seems within the realm of like, if I'm going to talk and preach, let alone on this podcast or when I'm selling my business about, I'm not going to be the cheapest. I don't want to be the cheapest.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put out quality work, and I'm going to get the job done. I'm going to offer the customer service that is worth the price tag that I'm putting out there. And that you have 100% nailed that for me, because it was just, you sent me the price, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get it done. And then as soon as I said go, you guys are out there instantly. And again, there is no hiccup. Like the time saved and all that, I could care less about. I mean, I do care what the price is. Let me make that clear. But it takes that
to a certain point.
Yeah, to a certain point, it takes the guesswork out of it for me to where it's like, how much more time that I'm gonna have to waste, and they go get 2 more quotes from 2 people that I guarantee one of them is not gonna show. The other one might show, and God knows how long it's gonna take for them to get a quote back to me. Like the turnaround on your quote too was instant.
Yeah.
Like.
What's funny is I hear you saying this, and I feel, because I go out and do sales every day consultations for our architectural side, the houses and buildings, and that's something I notice all the time is like that. Those are things that we're doing. Like I'm making sure that by the time I leave that consultation, they've already got it in their hand. I've gone over it with them, and the amount of people that are willing to just be like, okay, cool, you've won my trust, you've won my business, and they don't go get another quote because you wrapped all that up. Because for a lot of people, they've dealt with other contractors or any other trade work that's screwed them over. And you show up on time, you respond quickly, you're transparent in everything you do, you set really good expectations. Like right there, that's closing the sale for most people. Like the rest is the easy part. You've already set that up. Like, okay, cool. Like I know exactly what's going to happen here now, and I trust these people. Yeah. And then you just execute, and now you've got a referral base. We get half of our business right now is referral. Yeah. Like because you go execute on something like that from start to finish, and it was an enjoyable process compared to when they've dealt with an HVAC guy, or they've dealt with having to fix water damage, because I've had water damage in my house that I went through 3 contractors before almost getting my kitchen back together. Like no call, no shows. Finding second spot of water damage where they had to tear all the cabinets off, rip the wall open, take all the insulation out, and they needed to put everything back together. And I'm gone the day that everything goes back together, but yet not all the drywall is back on yet where the backsplash is going to go. So I take my screw gun and take 4 screws out, holding it in. They didn't put any insulation back in the wall anywhere. And it's an exterior wall to the house. And it's like,
bored.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
What? This isn't okay. And they're like, well, now we got to tear all your cabinets back down and tear all this sheetrock off. And it's just like,
okay. You're like, you're right. You are 100%
are you kidding me?
right.
Well, it goes exactly back to what you were saying. Like lowest bidder is the big thing now in this industry, and it's really ruining us because it's hard for us as people who value our quality and our what we put out there. And
we see it in our interactions with clients when we get to their house.
They'll tell you right away, like, we got 3 in line and we're just going for the lowest bidder. I'm just like, well, you're just going to get shit quality then at that point, you know? Yeah. And a lot of open competitive bids are that way, right? Private and public sector. So it's extremely difficult to get awarded nowadays because really people aren't looking for, they're not looking for quality. They're just looking for quantity, and they just want to roll this thing over and get it done. And then they'll deal with the problem later. You know what I mean? They'll probably end up calling us, which has happened numerous of times where we won't get awarded on a bid, but they'll call us 6 months later to come fix what just happened and what they did wrong.
They realize the value in what you were offering all of a sudden.
Yeah. And after they're done with that experience, and if it's someone we don't know and they've had that bad experience, and then we do a job for them, they'll call us before we even get to the next stage of, hey, we haven't done our quality control just yet. Well, I see this, what's going on here? And it's like, well, we got stages to this thing, and they've had the bad experience before, so they're already treating us as we're going to do the same bad experience to them.
Yeah. No, I've had it, unfortunately, and if I've done it, I'm sorry. Catch myself a couple of times where it's like I have to keep realizing when you guys are working, I can't take in consideration work I've gotten done with other people, and I need to keep my mouth shut, and there's a process, and they are getting it done. I need to keep my mouth shut. Yeah. I've been unfortunately a victim of that, to where it's where I see certain things getting done, but it also comes from a place, I think, for me, it's unfortunately, because of that past experience, if I would have mentioned that to begin with, maybe it'd been different. But at the same time, it's quite nice though to be having work done to where it's like, all right, I just need to shut the hell up and back away and let them do their job.
That's what you deserve. Yeah, as a customer, that's what you deserve. That's why you hire us, right? Like to sit back and let the project manage itself, not you manage the project. And I think a lot of people have that misconception about construction is, oh, I got to keep a fine tooth on this and just make sure that everything's going the right way. Well, that's why you're hiring us, right? Like, I'm sure you're the same way, but I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my business. So it's like I want to make sure every single detail is getting hit, and if it's not, then we got a problem, right? And so that's where it all starts. As long as you're just doing the things you're supposed to be doing and being transparent about it, I mean, you got a good industry, a good business.
That's where it kind of circles back to the ethics and making sure you do it right. It's a long-term play, right?
Yeah.
Like the short-term thing to do is to outbid the next guy and cut corners and get it done faster than it should be done. And then you got the money today. But long-term, what does that do for your reputation? And is that person going to be an advocate for you and a referral source? Like the more people that you can take care of, you might lose a couple people that are trying to price shop, but the person that does care about quality and their time and know that they can just trust you to handle it, you make that person happy, their social circle and their friends, the people they're going to be referring you to, are probably also going to care about those things. So it's like that's the not looking at the, okay, I can make a couple extra dollars today by cutting a corner.
Yeah.
But what's that going to do to your reputation, though? Because in the long run, that's just going to deteriorate that to where, I mean, even like what I was explaining to you, like what we've partnered or teamed up with, hiring Pineda and everything. Like one of the things he's kind of gotten myself out of my way when it's like I always have been hung up like on the warranty of our manufacturer, our film. He's like, "Are you going to take care of it no matter what when it comes down to it?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "Who cares?" He's like, I didn't even know that auto film had a warranty. And he goes, I'm technically the consumer that, like, he even did like a spot test that we were in a conference room with him. He opened up his conference room door and asked all of his people out there, like, who's gotten their car returned recently? Like, what? He got like prices from everybody. He's like, did anyone ask about the warranty? No one said a goddamn thing. He goes, here's my point proven exactly. Stop being so hung up on your warranty. You're selling yourself. You're selling your business. When it comes down to it, does your consumer know that you're going to take care of them no matter what? And I'm like, yeah. And like, he's like, that's all that matters. When it comes down to it, yes, you do want to use high quality products, obviously, to have it backing. That just makes the liability off of your back even better.
What's funny is like it's really kind of, the whole industry has done that for the longest time. You'll see in almost everybody's marketing that it's lifetime warranty film. But I think that's because that's how the manufacturers of the film are advertising to us. Like, hey, we're going to back it and give it a warranty. So that we're passing it on, even though the end consumer most of the time doesn't even really care.
Doesn't care.
Like,
hardly ever see them too, especially with cars. The turnover on cars is so it happens so often that as soon as it transfers hands, the warranty's technically, I mean, it's still there if you want to do all the paperwork, but no one cares. I've had like, I think 3 or 4 customers my entire career were like, well, I sold the car. How do I transfer the warranty then to them? I'm like, well, I haven't heard that before. But it's still,
we still use lifetime warranty film, but it's like, it doesn't need to be a selling point. If the person asks about it, sure, I'm going to let them know. But it doesn't need to be a huge selling point.
No,
the glass warranties for residential is a little bit more. Some people do ask about that more often.
But it's the quality of our work and the fact that we stand behind our work. That where if something does go wrong, it gets taken care of instantly. Like if my guys don't take the proper steps to say if they see damage on a window or they see damage on a door panel, and they don't take a picture before they touch that door panel, put it into TintWiz, notate it, let the manager know that's what they found, so they can inform the customer right then. Yeah. Like when it comes down to it, at the end when the customer's pointing something out to me, if you haven't given me anything to argue against it, and it's not even like I'm not trying to prove my customer wrong, I'm trying to show them like, hey, nope, well the proper steps were taken, damage was already there. Here's the photo. Here's the timestamp. They tried reaching out to you at this point. If you guys don't follow any of those steps and they point something out, I don't have anything to stand on. I'm replacing it. Like, I'm not going to sit there and make the customer argue in the fact that like if it was there or not, like. My guys didn't take the proper steps to show that, like, no, that was already there. Like, we had one car recently, Tesla, that the guy pointed out, which it looked like there definitely was a scratch on the paint, but, like, my before photo was just unfortunately shot so horribly that it's like, I can't tell if it's there or not. I'm just going to take care of it. Thankfully, I was able to take it back to our body shop, get them to buff it out real quick, simple fix. Got taken care of. And then the guy came back and he was like, hey, my door's like, it wasn't stuck out like this. And I like, as soon as he said it, I'm like, well, that I can't prove. Instantly went into the photos, went to the side shot. I was like, this is your before photo. And you can see that the door is slightly jarred open. I'm like, it's like that. He's like, I've never noticed that. I'm so sorry. I'm like, he's like, I'm good to go. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Left him one
we've had several instances like that. There was one not too long ago where it was a brand new car right off the lot straight to us. And we take before pictures when it's outside before we even move it. Got tinted, left, comes back the next day. The wife had picked it up or something, comes back complaining that we scratched his front end. just instantly pull up the photos. Like, here it is before we started tinting it, and it's not there. Here it is after when we're done, and it's parked out front. And this is where it was when your wife drove it away. And it's like, not that we necessarily don't want to take care of the person, but they immediately were like, oh, okay. Like, it wasn't even an argument.
Everything.
They didn't feel like we were doing anything wrong, but it's like just having that process in place.
For sure.
And being transparent and being upfront and setting that standard to begin with. Like, when something happens, if something happens, just call the customer and let them know. Even if it's anything, I tell all my guys too, if something accidentally happens,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Let
We'll
it
get
know.
taken care of. Now, if it's you've broken something because you skipped a protocol, then I got a problem with it. Like, we've already have the established steps. Like, this is what you need to be doing. You didn't do this step, and that it's ruined now. It's because you skipped this step. That I got a problem with. But if it's just happenstance, something happens, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I think it was the first day we were on your job site. I just seen how you guys were interacting and how you take photos of the cars, and then being behind there and seeing you guys doing the work. It was the second day I asked you guys for the quote for my truck, and you guys just went in, you took your photos like you did with all the other vehicles. You went back there, I seen them doing the work while we were doing our thing, and it worked out well, you know. You could see that you took pride in how your process works and what you guys do. You know, taking those photos, you could tell that you guys look at all angles, you know, for your business. So.
Yeah, and it's more likely, yes, of course, it's I guess to protect ourselves when it comes down to it. But at the same time, it's how you do all the small things, how you're going to do everything. And when they actually follow those processes, follow those steps, everything falls in line.
Mm-hmm. Photos for us is a big thing in
Oh,
our industry.
gosh, it's huge.
We take pictures, like when we're doing bids and he's talking to the homeowner and the homeowner's explaining things, I'm taking down notes. I'm taking pictures of everything, even the hallway as we're walking down to those rooms, because we got guys going in with stuff. You know, if there's a scratch on the wall that's there existing and they painted over it, and they're like, hey, you guys scratched this and you touched it up. No, the first day we did the bid, here it is, you know.
30,000 photos in our phones.
In the
you know?
process of
Oh,
you
yeah.
doing
Are you guys
the
using any type
construction.
of special software for that or anything? Because I just saw
I'm-
something for one that's like
Yeah.
AI in it, where
Yeah.
you just record and talk to it, and it even transcribes it all into notes. And
Yeah, I probably saw the same exact ad. I started the trial, and I actually
Yeah,
tested
it
it
was-
out with him, and it's been really good.
Okay, because
He just sent
I
it to
just sent it to everybody in the business because I was like, I'm always the one that's trying to find stuff like that, because we take pictures now for the architectural stuff, but on bigger, more complex projects, like we just had one recently, something like that would have been a game changer.
Game changer, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Game
I mean,
changer.
kudos to that guy.
Yeah, that's-
I'm always like that guy is like, what can I think of the next thing
Yeah.
that I could, and it's like those small little things you don't think about, and it just blows up. But kudos to him because it's a good program. I'm still on the trial, but it's working out pretty
Okay,
well.
'cause we're thinking about playing with it. Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was him talking about that made me think of that software because it's like, oh, that would be ideal for what you're doing.
Oh, dude, you go through my phone, you just want to find a picture of your kid or something, or you got to go like this for 10 minutes before you actually get to a photo that you cared about taking. You know, it's like, it's terrible. But yeah,
Totally relate.
before and afters are crucial.
Yeah, the amount of photos I have of cars inside and outside of my shop and my phone. And so every once in a while, I'm like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to take the time, I'm going to delete all these.
Yeah.
I get like a couple scrolls and I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, them just leave it in, who cares?
I asked my wife because she always finds these like cool programs that can go through your phone and like find your subscriptions that you're subscribed to and just filter them all out. I'm like, hey, is there anything that can go through my, my emails and my photos? And she's like, yeah. She pulled it right up. I'm like, okay, here you go. Go do it. She's always like, she finds all these weird things, but it works out.
I might have to do that for photos.
Yeah.
Because usually I'll zoom into where the shop is. The majority of my photos are at the shop. Because before with our program, it would glitch as you were taking photos. It would jump out of it, and where you'd lose all the photos you were taking. So it's like, all right, foolproof way, just take the photos on your phone and upload it when you get in the shop.
Yeah.
And then you just end up though with thousands of photos of cars.
Yeah.
I have 8 different angles, before and after. And it's like,
Sometimes you wonder when you need to delete them. For me, it's hard to delete because, your industry standards you were talking about earlier with home building and stuff and warranties, and you guys were talking about warranties for us. A 2-year mark is always stuck in my head. I always have to try to keep them for at least 2 years. And then structural warranties are even longer. So where do you draw that line? The 2-year mark is the most important for us.
Well, the good thing is everything I'm deleting off my phone has already been uploaded to a cloud-based
true.
system with the TintWiz, those guys.
Yeah.
So that's the CRM that we use to run everything, and everything that project wise, it's either in a house or even with obviously a car, it gets uploaded to that project, and then goes straight into that to where.
And you can add notes to it too. So it already has a lot of those functions that software has, but not like the AI
Not the
transcription of an
yeah,
entire
not the automated
project.
part.
That part's pretty sick.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm looking forward to using that, or at least trying it to seeing how we can manipulate it.
I'm interested in trying to get him to incorporate that into that. That would be
That
Eric.
would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice. I wouldn't complain about that. That's for certain too.
So what is TintWiz?
It's the CRM that we use. So it's very tint specific CRM that was created actually as a tool for a large tint business in LA. And then when he sold the business, he got to keep the software and he turned it into a CRM to sell to every shop.
So,
Which he's been constantly iterating on and improving. And he even does a podcast, Tint Wisdom, that we've been on a couple times. That's what we were talking about earlier. That kind of actually motivated us to do this too.
yeah, no, it's. I look at TintWiz. It's like QuickBooks. It can be used a billion different ways for however you want to mold it to your company. Like how we use it is completely different.
Tracks our inventory,
Yeah.
which even like when
right now,
when
it's horrible.
when we started using it, he even mailed us the label printer and the scale, because to inventory the film, the first time you take any roll in, you're going to take it, you're going to weigh it, and you input that into the system, you put the roll number, everything, and then it actually like creates a memory for that roll going forward, for that same size film, whatever, going forward. You don't got to take them out and weigh them. You can literally just select that size roll of that particular film, just add the roll number, boom, done. Prints out a label that goes on the box that has a QR code. Every time that roll gets checked in or out, we literally cut off film, use it. Before it gets checked back in, it gets weighed, and a new label gets printed out that tells you exactly how much film's left on the roll. I can be on a job and selling a job and look in the inventory and see how much is left on the shelf right now. Do we need to order more, or can I schedule this like right now?
Smart.
That's just like one of the features that was the first one we started using, because that was a huge problem for the industry. So during the lockdowns, actually, right around that same time frame, I was like, well, let's use the trial of that, and I'll just put everything in inventory, and at a minimum, we'll use it for that. And then almost immediately, we started realizing how we could just run the whole business through it way more efficiently. And over the last 4 years, we're using it pretty optimally. I think there's probably still a couple features in there because he keeps adding stuff to it. So but it's very specific. There's stuff in there specifically for if you're doing auto tint or detailing, ceramic coating, graphics, and then the architectural window tint side of it. The way you can give bids is just. It's amazing. Like by the time I'm done walking someone's job, measuring it, all the rooms are labeled. There's pictures of every room. When they select the type of film, I generate the proposal out of canned, pre-generated proposals. Where 5 minutes later, their proposal's done. Show it to them, email it to them before we even go out the door. And I've been on several bids in the last year where, miraculously, the same time I'm there, somebody else shows up for another, and the person's like, all right, I'll let you guys both do it at the same time. And without fail, every time that's happened, the other person's like, all right, we'll send it to you later, and they leave. And I'm like, here's your project, here's all the pictures, here's what the film's going to look like from the inside and the outside. And it's like, the edge that gives is insane.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely been a huge game changer for us.
Sounds like a nice tool to have.
Oh no, that's been the biggest thing. It's allowed us to scale and grow the company, and biggest thing is improve communication.
Yeah.
That's been. I mean, I think that's usually one of the biggest problems ever within a company is communication and assumption.
So every project
kills
has
everything.
notes section on it. So anytime anything happens on a project, you put notes in there. If you need somebody to actually take action on that, you task them. It comes up as a task on your end where you're logged in, and you can click on it, go to that project, and handle whatever it is. And then you apply to whoever tasked you. If you need to follow up, you can task yourself. So it's like anytime you look at a project, whether it's a car or house or a commercial building, there's a whole chain of conversation that's happened from the front desk receiving the call, scheduling the consultation, the sales, all the way down to the install, to the very last thing that should be on there is like install complete. And you can see everything's taken care of on the project, like all the way from start to finish.
Yeah, no, if anything happens within the company, if I tell everyone, if you do not task me, it doesn't exist. Don't text me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to consider a text. Because if I accidentally click on a text, I'm not going to remind myself. I'm not going to. I can only remember so much. I can only do so much. Especially if you tell me in passing conversation, I'll try to remember. but make sure you task me either in the project or just send me a task of something that needs to get done. Now, if you task me and it's on there the day you sent it, the time and everything, and I dropped the ball, that's on me. But you did your end. But if it doesn't go through the program, just I'm going to imagine that it's never happened. It's because if I forget, that's on you. Like I told you to make sure it goes through that one funnel. That's always my drop dead when it comes to anything within the company. If you need something done or something has to be done in the project, task me in the project. Put it in there and task me to it so I know, like now I can hold myself accountable. That's a standard across the board. Is if you check your tasks, is it in there? Did you get it done? Okay, why didn't it get done?
Yeah.
That's always my drop dead is tasks. Like just because having so many different ways to communicate. It's, I talked to him. Okay, that's nice. Did you put it in the program? No. I'm like,
It works to a certain scale, but then after so many people and so many projects, it doesn't work anymore.
No, it does not.
Really?
I can only imagine on your end.
Yeah. We have a similar platform that we use too for like our maintenance side, because we also have a maintenance side that we do maintenance contracts with a lot of commercial customers. Shout out to MaintainX, because they changed the game for us when it came to like prioritizing and organizing work orders and such. And it's very similar, right? Like creating tasks, having notes on the task, and keeping inventory and all that. And it's organized our business so much better instead of just us getting back to the office and making sure their admins are doing what they're doing and scrambling to make sure, hey, did this go out or this come in, and what, getting text messages all day. So it's like changed the game for us when it comes to these platforms.
Yeah, we don't have to scroll through text messages.
I'm
like
so
you guys
grateful
were saying
for
too.
technology now.
You
It's
have
like-
to use that nowadays.
I can't imagine what people were doing back in the day when it's like you didn't have the things that we have
my
now.
dad carried around
A notepad.
yeah,
full
well,
of-
the actual like
Map,
the calendar, like a
Oh,
black
yeah.
calendar
Yeah.
that everything
I
was
carry one
handwritten
around
on,
still. I
and,
want to be
like-
old school still. I still want to keep it old fashioned, man. I set up a new home office, and I'm like, I told Chris and my wife, I'm like, I want to get a filing cabinet. And they're like, what are you going to get a filing cabinet for? We don't have any, besides invoices. And I'm like, I just want one because I just want to keep it old school, okay? So I bought a filing cabinet so I can have it there, and I stare at it every day. I still haven't put anything in it yet, but soon enough, I'm going to put some papers in there, man.
So for me, I still have to have my notepads. I like my small little jot
For
down
sure,
things.
yeah.
Like I can use my notes on my phone, and I can use the program too. But if it's small little petty stuff, but then I have the problem of getting rid of my notebooks. And yet I don't get rid of them. I usually keep them stacked in one area. And like I have had a couple jobs where it's like, hold on, I know which book I was using during this time period, and I gone back to like a measurement I wrote down. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, I should have took a photo of that and put it in the project, but I still have it.
Yeah.
So, but that's the next thing I got to start getting better at. Is if it is an important note, take a picture of it, put it in the projects. Now I have it digitally forever, but I have to, like, I can't get rid of writing things down.
Same.
It makes my process better when it comes down to it. I know I got transferred digitally. but
I'm excited for the chatbots just to get integrated into everything, because when I can just say it,
you just gonna name yours Jarvis and be
no,
go for it?
but I mean, as much as I play with ChatGPT, I can see how it's going to be very soon that you're just going to be able to talk to your phone, give it pictures, and give it context of what's going on, and it's going to connect all the dots, and all of the extra stuff will just be
I just
connected.
want somebody to like do some AI with the iPhone calendar. Like, I don't want to, because I still don't know how to use the iPhone calendar. I don't use it. I don't
Yeah, I
schedule
don't
anything
use it
on my
either.
calendar. I still, to this day, I have no idea how to operate it. Although it's just a plus sign and put it in the event, I don't use it. I put all of our dates and everything is in my notes section. It's weird. It's just how I've structured. It's the way I do it. So if somebody can come up with like an AI that's you just talk to the phone like this day, this time, set the schedule, it would be
That'll
awesome.
be. I think that'll be really soon through Siri, where you're gonna
So
talk
that's
to
like
Siri
Apple,
as
Yeah.
if it's like
iPhone
your own
17,
personal
18.
Jarvis.
dude, game changer.
Yeah,
Like, even it could just
that's
listen
around
to
the
you.
corner. That's
Yeah.
around the corner. That is around the
I
corner.
bet it can do it already. They just don't want to freak people out.
Well,
Yeah.
the conversations I've
Oh,
had.
by the way, you
with-
got this coming up. Your dentist appointment's
Yeah.
like, what? How did you know that?
No, that's exactly what it's going to do. You're going to let it know what, and even like when you get an email or a message or a task inside of like a CRM or something, you can prompt it ahead of time, and you're going to be able to tell it like these things from this person based off priority of when things
Yeah.
are scheduled. Talk to it like a personal assistant, and it's going to, hey, you just got an email response on such and such project from this person. Here's a summary. Here's what it says in summary. Here's the response that I created for you already. Can I send this?
Love
Go
it.
ahead, send
Love
it.
how long is it going to take you for you to trust the fact that summary is actually what it's supposed to be and it's
I
not
don't
missing
know,
something
dude.
important?
I don't know, man. Have you been writing an email on your iPhone? Do you see how it'll tell you exactly what you want to say after a sentence? I'm like, how the fuck did it know that?
Yeah.
Well,
And I'll just put okay and just press space, and it told exactly what was going to come out of my mind.
Yeah.
Was what it was.
And imagine when you got a personal AI bot that you give access to all your previous emails, anything you want to give it access to. It's going to be able to. It's going to respond in your voice. It's going to respond in your voice.
I don't know if I if I love it or hate it, man. It's kind of
It sounds scary, but it's going to be super efficient for business.
yeah.
No, I really like one of the people we were talking to earlier. What's going to end up happening is that it's going to all integrate, and then what AI is going to do to screw with us, they're going to make all of the robots look like Arnold.
Oh God.
How much more do you need to screw with an entire generation of people?
Elon might do that anyways.
Dude, that would be so awesome.
I think that's why he set the tone and was like, no face, like for now, no face for now, because I'm gonna crush it when it comes in, and just shock the whole world.
He's gonna do a release one day, and it's
Yeah.
literally gonna look just like Arnold.
God, that'd be awesome.
The robot 17 has got Arnold's face on it.
Yeah.
Oh my
The
God.
full body and everything. That'd be wild.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll take one of those robots for sure.
Oh, I mean, I don't disagree with it. When it comes down to it, it's like when in high school they told us, "Guys, show your math homework. You got to do the math because you're not going to have a calculator at all times." Well, yes, I will. I'm going to have a calculator powerful enough to do whatever I want. And it's like the same thing, which I didn't know was coming down the turnpike. When anyone asked me, "Hey, how do you spell this?" Google. I don't know. Google it. Why are you asking me how to spell? Like,
Yeah.
I Google everything. Like,
Or you can just start typing it into the message on your phone.
Yeah,
It'll
but if
give
I'm
you
too
the
dumb
correct-
to even type that incorrectly, and then I just go into talking, and then it picks up, and we're good, and then it spells it out for me. Now I have a tool with me at all times that I don't need to know how to spell technically, let alone talk properly,
Right.
because I can feed it into ChatGPT. I'm like, all right, check my grammar and structure of this, please, and then it spits out this whole thing. I'm like, perfect. Like we had one the other day where a guy was asking, doesn't it make sense to put the tin on the inside, not the outside? Like I heard the comment come through Instagram. He texts me, whatever I respond with this, and then I can hear my my person in my front, Jen, asking someone, how do I respond to this? And it's all the same comment. I was like, I got it. And like I knew what I wanted to say, but how to like structurally type it out, that's not happening. I went straight in ChatGPT. Gave it a whole explanation of why I think you should do it and not do it. And then I was like, all right, fix the grammar and the structure of this. First version it spat out. I'm like, perfect. Copy, paste, send it to him. He posts it.
But we got to draw the line in the sand somewhere, man. Like I feel like kids are just not gonna learn because they feel like they can just take all of the knowledge off of AI. And like, for instance, we get emails from GMs all day long, and you can tell that they did not type the fucking email.
Yeah.
And like, it's a simple like, hey, the shower head's broken, but it'll be a paragraph of the scope of work and like complex description of what the guy at a 20-degree angle. I'm like, you did not write this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so perfect. I'm like, come on, man, we're taking this too far.
Well, I've got kids in high
just
school
type
right
it.
now that I've been like encouraging to use it, but I've been encouraging them to use it not like, hey, I got a paper on XYZ. Can you write it for me? It's like, no, read the book. I want you to write the outline. I want you to write the rough draft. Then I want you to tell it what the assignment is, tell it what you read, give it your outline, give it your rough draft, and have it help you make corrections. And then what it spits out is their paper, just like graded.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I fixed the grammatical stuff.
That's fine. See, that's okay.
Use it as a tool. That's the biggest thing.
Use it as a tool. Don't use it as to do
Don't
it
rely
for
on
you.
it.
Right. Yeah.
Like now you've got a tool to make. You've got no excuse to turn in an A paper every single time. You still got to do the work and do the paper yourself. But now use it as, hey, I'm in 9th grade. This is what I did. Can you help me grade this so that I can get an A? And tell me why you made the changes that you made. And it'll give you all of that. So it's like that's where I see it going. That's how people need to teach their kids how to use it. Is don't have it write it for you, but learn how to prompt it and learn how to give it what you've already done and take it and show you what should have been changed based off a sentence structure, paragraph structure, these things that's what they're learning at school.
How do you teach a kid that, man? You know, it's like it's hard enough to tell a kid to go do his homework.
Yeah.
Now, you know, they have this segue to get around things and do things so much easier.
It's not going to be easy.
anybody
You're going to have to
knowing.
sit down and do it with them. Like that's the thing. It's even like letting your kids use social media in my mind. Like completely not letting them on it is an option. completely letting them do whatever they want on it, it's an option. Those are the only two I ever hear talked about. What about slowly introducing them to it and teaching them this is what the algorithm's doing. It wants to keep you on here all the time. You can go on here and look, you're into running right now. Follow a bunch of professional runners and running coaches, and that's what you engage with. And if that's what you engage with while you're using it, that's what it's going to show you back. And then, explain the pitfalls of not just randomly posting every single thing that comes to your mind, or, getting into political arguments or whatever. Like, somewhere in between, not using it at all and just completely letting them do whatever they want. That's not easy.
See, for him, it's very easy. All he's got to do is go back to 2016. He shows his kids how he was posting in 2016 during the elections.
Yeah.
And then shows them now.
So I bet to say,
all right, this is where I was a psycho.
I think we're in our mid-20s of the internet and social media, and I feel like that was the teenage years of nobody had an example. It's just a new form of communication. This face-to-face communication, shaking someone's hand, making eye contact, that's something that humans have learned and taught the next generation for thousands of years. And social media came along, and there was no older, wiser generation. Grandpa was just as likely to say some crazy shit about the election in 2016 as a 12-year-old kid was.
Just didn't post about it.
Yeah, well, and there was a lot of people that did, and because they didn't have any example of way not to.
Yeah.
Right? So now, I've evolved in how I use social media over the last couple of years of realizing, that guy's an idiot. That was just me. Yeah. 8 years ago, that guy was a complete fucking idiot. But I can even go back and see some of those posts come up in my timeline if I do click on Facebook ever, and I'll see something from that time frame pop up, because I was posting several things every single day, like clockwork.
Delete them.
Oh, I like seeing them pop up in my timeline to remind me,
I was a crazy motherfucker.
You're a fucking idiot.
I thought you should go off the rails for a bit.
Yeah.
But it reminds me, okay, cool. Other people, that's the same thing too. I might have a bad opinion in my mind of something I saw somebody else post a couple years ago, but it reminds me to be okay, no, maybe that person's grown, and they're not the same person anymore. So it is what it is.
Oh no, I'd agree with that too. Because if you go back even further, I see things that either I never really posted much of anything, but things that even my wife posted. And she showed me, and it's just talking about her day. She's this was so goddamn pointless.
Yeah.
I thought I was so cool. And it's we all did. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We were learning at the time. But seeing the certain posts for his posts pop up, I'm just that's funny.
Well, you don't see my old ones pop up, do you?
You've shared a couple of them.
Making fun of them.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Making fun of yourself.
Yeah.
I was right there with you.
Yeah, because I got to admit, I was insane. I was a crazy person. Okay, cool. Yeah. At least I recognize it now.
Yeah.
But
no shame in that.
Yeah, but I think that's where we're at when it comes to the internet and social media. Is just nobody knew, and now we're learning.
It's weird, man. It's really weird.
No one knew that things that you were posting in my eyes, I still am a complete idiot, but going back to my early 20s, goddamn what an idiot. And I'm so happy I didn't actually use social media at all, because God knows what I would have actually posted.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, that's the weird one with the kids, though, right now. Do you guys have kids?
I do.
How old?
I have 4 kids. They're 7, 6, 5, and 4.
What the fuck's wrong with
Oh, you're
I don't know.
Getting ready to turn 19. So.
Yeah, he's
okay.
He's free running.
You're watching the storm.
Yeah.
Go away.
So
you're in the eye of the
I
storm.
had one. That's it.
Oh yeah,
one girl.
man.
Yeah, I've got
these two
16-year-old
psychos.
daughter, 14-year-old daughter, 14-year-old son, 5-year-old son, and a 2-year-old son. So,
Yeah.
Look, man, I have, like I just told you, 7, 6, 5, and 4. Our oldest have friends that are 9, 10, right, in the neighborhood, and they got phones, and it just I'm just the other day, and I'm not going to say names, but the other day, this person had left their phone at my house. I had taken them to the circus when the what's that circus that came to town? What's the big circus? The Bros?
Ringling Brothers.
Ringling Brothers.
Yeah.
So I took all the kids there. The neighbor ended up leaving her phone at the house, so my wife was there, and it's just dinging. Okay, lighten up. What do you do when the phone's? You look at it, right? It's not your phone, but you look at it. What's going on, right? Somebody calling her, it's an emergency. And it's just like Snapchat, TikTok, Snapchat, TikTok. And she's sending me these pictures like, babe, this is not normal for a 9-year-old. And I'm like, no, it's not. And the things that we were seeing, like the notifications just of these people that were contacting this little child, or whether it was a notification, we didn't open the phone, right? We didn't know.
Yeah.
But still, it was like alarming to the point to where it's like this 9-year-old's number one on Snapchat, which is like a red flag, because I think that's really weird for a 9-year-old. Think about it, 9 years old, man.
Couldn't agree
And
more.
then TikTok, like, no, there's too many things on TikTok that are just inappropriate for that age. So anyways, I have to witness my kids be around this, and you know, this girl's like constantly shoving her phone. They'll be outside trying to play soccer, right? Like, or just kick a ball around, and the girls just they're running, and she's like, look at this, look at this. And I'm like, no, we're not doing phones today. Like, put the phone down. It's like she's trying to show the videos all, like, she can't get off the phone, and it's 9 years old. So imagine what that's going to turn into.
Oh, yeah.
And it's scary, man. Like, I'm really in fear for my kids. I'm to the point where I want to homeschool my kids.
Dude, my older ones were in 5th grade when I started getting hounded about that they were the only kids in class. So my older one, when she was in 5th grade, she was the only kid in class that didn't have a phone.
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. It was like...
0.
So then
But
I
that's the thing,
caved.
like, the other
I
kids would
caved
be like,
on.
oh, you're not cool. You don't have a phone. You're not cool, right?
So I like caved on middle school, but even that, it's like it's weird because it's like they don't need it at that point.
No.
But what's funny is my 14-year-old got in trouble for how she was using social media, and like I removed the door from her room. She lost the phone entirely. But here's the weird thing: taking her to softball practice. I show up to softball practice. My wife had dropped her off. I show up for like the last 2 hours, and I'm gonna pick her up. And some of the parents, you know, start talking and like, oh yeah, so we heard London lost her door. Oh my God, it must have been real bad. And the one mom's like, but she doesn't have her phone. Like, how do you know where she is? How do you get a hold of her? I'm like, well, she's either at my house with us, at school where they can call me if they need me and I can call them, or she's here at practice. Like it. The technologies, I think, kind of also in a weird way created this like helicopter environment where people are giving their kids phones younger because they want to track them all the time.
Right.
And I think that's where Snapchat's coming from, because Snapchat is the popular thing with younger kids still right now because it disappears and there's no way that anybody can be monitoring
Which
it.
is also very
So it's like
dangerous.
they're like fighting for like some freedom and privacy, because the only reason the phone's in their hand in the first place is really they know that they're being spied on all the time by their parents. It's like this really weird. It's
but
crazy.
You need to buy into the fact that that's unfortunately going to get worse and worse for them.
It's
sorry
it's
that you were
definitely
born
a
where
strange
you're
time
born.
to raise
But
kids.
does it have to get worse? Like, can't we put a stop to this somehow, some way? You know, and what is that isolating your kid possibly by homeschooling them and, you know, not getting them into this social life? That's crazy.
I don't think it's a bad answer because the school system's broken. Like the last person we had on, we were talking about that. She's homeschooling her kids, and it's a friend of mine since like elementary school. And I actually follow her and her husband. They've got a CrossFit gym here in town, and they're really big on social media promoting the business, but they also share their like homeschooling journey with their kids and stuff. And like their kids are the most well-adjusted, like they're crushing it.
Dude,
they're
every
crushing
family
it.
I see that.
They're crushing it.
All the kids are all the same. They're well behaved.
There's some intent behind that. They're not just homeschooling to homeschool. It's because they see the pitfalls in the current system. They see the pressure coming from the peers at school about having to be on those things. And instead, they're just creating an environment where that doesn't have to be reality. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
I fully
and I've got a bunch of kids in public school right now. So it's like, but I think there's a way to do them both. Like as long as as long as the parents paying attention and engaged and involved, I think you could do it either way. It's just you're having to overcome a lot of peer pressure when you're in the public school route, right?
I was worried about my kid back then. I mean, she's almost 19 now, but I was worried about her interactions with other kids. And now that she's going to community college, you know, her first day, and one of the professors was, you know, explaining stuff about himself, and he was trying to alienate people with the whole political realm that we have going on now. And he's like, you know, if you're supporting this, you need to raise your hand now. I want to know who's supporting this kind of person, you know. And, you know, I set the tone with my daughter. Hey, you're going to run into teachers like this that are going to be opinionated. My whole thing was like, are you going to treat them different when you grade them? Because you're blatantly saying that this person you don't like, and you want to know who likes that person. And it's like, your whole point is just to teach them history.
Yeah,
you know?
no,
That's crazy.
I want to know if you like this person out because we want everyone to be equal, but raise your hand just so I know who you are so I can make sure I'm not treating you equally.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like,
There's so much hypocrisy and all that shit.
Oh,
It's
it's-
crazy.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
college is even worse, man. Even worse.
Well, that's why I think the swing to the trades is I think it's coming because there's more and more people talking about it, and there's more and more parents that are fed up with seeing what that system's shooting out with the debt and the just mind virus that's coming out of there. I
Yeah.
think you're going to see a lot more people that are like our age generation that are going to encourage their kids more to look into the trades. And it's a big reason why we're doing the academy
Yep.
is, you know, our initial target audience is people that are already doing automotive tint, but eventually we want to branch out to be able to go and, you know, put something on for the local high school shop classes and
Yeah.
show people this is a trade that you can make meaningful money without going into a bunch of debt and without the risk of
and can travel the country.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, everywhere, all the
like
major
the world,
markets.
really. I mean, I've
Yeah,
always had
that's
this. I've
true.
been telling my 14-year-old son, like, dude, you should take advantage of the fact that we have this business, and you should come to work as much as you want to. You can come to work on the weekends, summer, winter break, whatever. By the time you graduate high school, you'll have a trade that you could go work as just an installer at some shop in Florida all summer, and then you could get a work visa and travel to Australia for their summer, and like you could do whatever you want. Like you have nothing tying you down, no burden, nothing, or you can go waste 4 years in college on some degree that you might not even use for something, you know, like.
But I think the younger generation is just becoming more and more lazy. That's the problem.
It's-
They don't have.
It's really easy and convenient to do nothing right now.
Yeah. It's picking up tools and doing something with your hands is like unorthodox now. It's like it's not something that they want to practice or do. It's like scary. And I don't.
I think they're still out there though. You just got to find there's gems in this generation that are. It's just that's not what we see, and
Some
it's
of it
definitely less than probably previous generations because of the technology handicap.
Sucks. I mean, is there still Votech? Do you guys? How long you guys been living here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Votech,
Votech's
it's
still
now
there.
called
Secta.
It's
Yes.
it's a
Secta
different name now.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's still. I
A
wonder,
little bit
like,
bigger too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there's a new one that actually has a full construction program. I'm not sure if it's a
Really?
charter or it's an actual public school, but I think they just opened this year. There's a couple of them. I've been looking into them because once this is up and running, that's one of the things I'm going to be working on is getting it to where the California Tin Academy, which is another Solar Guard dealer in California, they're focused on the automotive side of the house, but she's going to local schools and getting them involved, and they've even made it to where you can use the GI Bill to go to their school. So we're going to try to get that rolling for ours too.
That was something you were talking about, like wanting to start teaching younger kids how to use a drill and a hammer.
Yeah.
But like
how
small
to cut
workshops,
things.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah,
start
absolutely.
with workshops.
Get 'em
There's a
interested
social
in
media
something.
thing. That's what you go social media the
I
crap
thought
out of
about
that.
it, yeah.
Social
Do
media
that.
the crap
That's
out of that.
literally what
Because that's
we're
where they're
doing
going to
here.
be. You're going to catch them on their phone, and there'll be a percentage of people that actually stick around and watch it, and then they'll follow you and they'll engage, and then boom, that's it right there.
Yeah, I was at a men's conference last night. I was just looking around about all the men that were there. I was just like, man, if we could just take all of these guys and all the stories I was hearing last night of these young 20-year-old, 19-year-old guys who were just doing like Uber Eats and this and that. I just wanted to be like, man, if we could just create some type of workshop just like this. It was with my church, and create this same dynamic to where we can create that community, that brotherhood, and still get something out of it, like a trade, and build something out of it. It would be so incredible. But there's nothing that exists like that besides maybe like a construction school or like a trade school. But I want to create something different than that,
Yeah.
Some of our workers that are on the job, they're the older guys. They have their sons that are in their teens, and they're watching their dad do this, and their dad say like, "Hey," they're showing them the movements, how to be more proficient.
Yeah,
efficient.
but I don't want it to be like an apprenticeship, right? Where you got to go to the job site and learn how to do the trade. I want it to be like a small workshop, right?
Yeah.
It's something where we can gather together and teach one trade for that day and the next trade the next day or whatever. But I think that'd be something pretty cool. I
Some
think
of
that's
them-
something this industry needs for sure.
Oh, I think that would crush.
Yeah.
Some of those kids out there, they want to be in an outdoor environment or doing something physical with their hands instead of just, typing and stuff. So
And my
Send me on
wife's
the screen.
uncle actually teaches in Clovis, California, and he has a construction class, and he also does something with like software kind of and hardware where in one of his classes, he'll have them build their own arcade machine, but they build the actual box that it goes in. They set up the microchip board that goes in it. They like build the whole thing. But the construction class builds a tiny house every year from start to finish, from like doing from blueprints up to actually building it in the yard that he has, and then they sell it. But he's constantly working with people doing those types of seminars and classes. So there's already a structure out there where people are doing it in some places. But yeah, I think this town it would
Desperately
crush.
needs
It
it.
would crush.
Desperately needs it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that those high school programs that are being set up right now are looking for people in the community to partner with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I find anyone, because I'm looking for it for the tint side of the house, if I come across anything, I'll send it your way.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
No, well, shit, man. I really appreciate you coming down.
Yeah.
Shooting the shit with us.
Absolutely. Man. It was fun.
Definitely we'll have to do this again when the studio's up and done.
Yeah.
I know we are right
for sure.
at the... Huh? Yeah, actually, yeah.
That'd be sweet.
And then we'll be able to show off all the work. I really appreciate everything, how you've conducted your business and how you've made getting all this done for me is like I got held a deadline by our manufacturer. Like, it'd be nice to do it by this date.
Yeah.
And then as we start getting closer into the year, I'm like, all right, we need to start actually moving with this, and then trying to find someone, then coming across to you, and then having you come in and do the different stages that we've done. It's been really nice. Make my life a lot easier in the fact of knowing, like, all right, a couple conversations, quotes over instantly, and then you guys come in, you guys knock things out and take care of everything. I really do appreciate it.
Cool, man. Yeah, and it's really refreshing to hear feedback because we don't get it a lot, right? Yeah. We're not on Yelp or Google or anything like that for a reason, but it's really nice to hear some positive feedback. So thank you.
Oh yeah, like I said, from start to finish, on everything that you've done so far, from intake, bidding, everything. Keep doing what you're doing.
Cool.
You will continue to crush it. I guarantee you that, because you had me with that's just, I mean, the unfortunate bar that was set. Like, as soon as okay, answer his phone.
Yeah.
Check. On time. Check. And then beyond that, quote the next day. I was like, okay, and then also I can get you on schedule next week. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And then just from signing to everything that's going through seamlessly beyond that, and all the communication. Absolutely love it, man.
Right on, man.
where can people find you?
You can find us on IKAG Construction on Facebook, Instagram, and we have our website. It's still under construction, but we should be launching it next week. So our new website should be up and it's ikagconstruction.com.
Awesome. I know my sister might kill us. I'm pretty sure we can put all that in the... Yes, we can. Thank you, Jordan.
If the URL changes, I'll send it to you guys. So you have it.
But, if you guys need something done, need a personal project around the house, shop, they've done multiple projects for us now. Have absolutely crushed it. Quality is amazing. Communication, top notch. Reach out to them if you have a project to get done. If not, you guys, thank you for following along. You know how this works. Subscribe, comment, share. We appreciate all the love.
Thank you.